Wallpaper. Real life stories. Story 1. My grandfather is 53 and got a woman pregnant. She's in her mid-40s and they met through his social circle. Some background. My grandfather struggled with drinking his whole life, but my grandmother kept him in check, made sure he stayed sober, got him help when he needed it. When she got sick and passed away, he started slipping. My parents kept an eye on him to make sure things didn't go sideways. For a while it was fine. He'd have a drink here and there, but he was still going to his garden plot, fishing, coming over to visit, helping around the house. Normal retired guy stuff. Then this summer he basically disappeared. Stopped coming around, wasn't answering his phone, always said he was at the dacha. My parents finally drove out there to check on him. What they found was not great. He had completely fallen off the wagon and moved a woman into the place. They spent the whole summer out there together. Then it came out that she's pregnant and says it's his, and now she's planning to move into his apartment in the city. My parents are trying to figure out how to handle the situation. My grandfather has actually sobered up for now, but nobody's holding their breath. Quite a summer for our family. Story 2. My mom is 48 and she's pregnant. She's planning to keep the baby, and the father is a guy she met at a spa resort this summer who has since stopped responding to her calls and messages entirely. Quick backstory. My parents divorced a long time ago. Mom has been on her own for years and was completely focused on me, my sister, and our kids. This summer she went on a spa trip, met a 40-something guy from another city. They had a romance. She visited him for a week afterward. Then she found out she was pregnant. He ghosted her completely after that. We're pretty convinced he has his own family somewhere, but our mom is defending him, saying they're in love and he just can't come right now. The hardest part is watching a grown woman not be able to see what's right in front of her. Wild how life works sometimes. Story 3. My grandmother left me a ring when she passed. It wasn't worth a fortune, but it had been passed down through the women in our family for generations. I wore it almost every day. One night I went to a party and the next morning I noticed it was gone. I tore my apartment apart looking for it. Nothing. I remember dancing a lot that night, so I sent a message to the group chat asking if anyone had seen it. Kate replied right away saying she'd found it on the floor and picked it up, assuming I'd dropped it and that she'd return it soon. I was relieved and thanked her. A week later, I noticed Kate wearing a ring that looked exactly like mine. I brought it up and she immediately got defensive, said her mom had given it to her. I didn't push it, but later another friend told me Kate had been showing off a ring she found to people in our circle. That told me everything I needed to know. Story 4. 6 months ago, I got into a relationship with a girl who seemed perfect at first. Caring, attentive, always supportive. A couple months in, she suggested we move in together. It felt fast, but I went along with it. After the move, everything changed. She started monitoring every expense, checking receipts, demanding to know who I'd been with and how much I'd spent. Things came to a head when I refused to give her access to my banking app. She had a full meltdown and said there shouldn't be any secrets in a relationship. By that point, I realized I was financially trapped. A lot of the furniture had been bought with her money, and she made sure I never forgot it. I ended up moving out into a rented room and leaving almost everything behind. Turns out freedom is worth more than a comfortable couch. Story 5. My wife and I have been together for 12 years. Recently, I found out my oldest son might not be biologically mine. I overheard a conversation between my mother-in-law and my wife about some old mistake. I pushed for honesty. My wife admitted that early in our relationship she had been with her ex and that the timing meant there was a chance the son wasn't mine. Then came the DNA test, 2 weeks of waiting that I can only describe as hell. The result confirmed I'm not his biological father. I looked at this boy I taught to ride a bike, and I genuinely didn't know what I was feeling. We haven't divorced. I don't know if I can leave. He's still my son in every way that matters. But what my wife did is something I'm still trying to process. Story 6. I dated a girl for 6 months. Everything was calm and stable. She always said she hated jealousy and valued her freedom. I trusted her completely. One weekend, she invited me to visit some friends of hers outside the city. That's where I met her ex for the first time. They were friendly in a way that felt like more than just old memories, but I told myself I was overthinking it. That night, I woke up and she wasn't in bed. I went downstairs and found the two of them alone in the kitchen sharing a bottle of wine and laughing. Nothing obviously wrong, but the vibe in that room said everything. The next day, her friend asked her while slightly drunk, "So have you figured out what you want yet?" That's when I understood I was just one of the options. On the drive home, she turned to me and said, "You're too good. I feel safe with you, but there's no spark." We broke up a week later. The worst part wasn't the breakup. It was finding out I'd been compared to someone else the whole time without knowing it. Story 7. I've always been quiet and kept to myself. At work, I met Lena, outgoing and magnetic, and she basically adopted me from day one. She invited me out, introduced me to her friends, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I belonged somewhere. I was genuinely grateful, but over time, I started noticing things. She constantly talked down about my old friends, said they weren't on my level. Then she started having opinions about what I wore and who I spent time with. This went on for about 6 months. I was slowly losing myself while her grip on my life kept getting tighter. Eventually, I realized this wasn't friendship, it was control. I got up the nerve to tell her I needed some space. She called me a traitor, but I made up my mind that I was done letting anyone run my life for me. Story 8. I stole money from my grandmother. Not once, but multiple times. Small amounts, maybe $10 or $15 at a time, taken from her wallet when I came to visit. I kept telling myself I'd pay it back, that it was temporary, that I had no other choice. I was with a guy at the time who had expensive taste, and I was terrified of losing him, so I kept trying to keep up. My grandmother never said a word. I assumed she hadn't noticed. Then one day I came over and she was sitting at the table going through some papers. I walked into the kitchen and through the wall I heard her quietly say to herself, "That's all right, let her take it. She must need it." The floor dropped out from under me. She had known the whole time and said nothing. I couldn't say a word. I broke up with that guy shortly after. My grandmother passed away last year. I never found the courage to apologize before she was gone. That's the heaviest thing I carry. Story 10. Let me tell you about my best friend. We were basically brothers. 2 years ago, he got into a relationship with a girl named Regina. Gradually, I noticed him changing. He stopped picking up the phone, started canceling plans, seemed tense all the time. Then one day she messaged me directly and told me I was a bad influence and asked me to stop contacting him. I was stunned. I tried talking to my friend about it and he just made excuses, said I'd misread the situation and that she was just worried. I backed off because I didn't want to force him to choose. 8 months of silence. Then 3 weeks ago, he reached out on his own. They had broken up. He told me she had cut him off from his family, gone through all his messages, picked fights over every like on social media. He'd lost almost 25 pounds and was dealing with an anxiety disorder. I'm helping him get back on his feet now. The friendship never went anywhere. It was just waiting. Story 0. I want to admit something I'm not proud of. When I was younger, I went through a difficult breakup that affected me more than I expected. I was about 15 and really attached to someone who ended up moving on with someone else. I didn't handle it well and became overly focused on her life. I would often find myself walking the same routes as her or paying too much attention to where she was and what she was doing. At the time, I didn't fully realize how unhealthy that behavior was. Eventually, she noticed and involved adults, which forced everything to stop. Looking back, I understand that what I was doing crossed boundaries and wasn't okay. That experience stayed with me for a long time and made me realize how easy it is to lose control of your behavior when emotions take over. It also made me reflect on the importance of respecting other people's space and dealing with personal issues in a healthier way. Wallpaper. New stories twice a week. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, consider subscribing and share it with someone close to you.